What is going on, Iagon Nation? Welcome to the Dapp Central YouTube channel. My name is Fareed, and in today's video, we're going to be doing a brief review of the Iagon Node Storage version 1, which was just released for the testnet. Now, this is going to be a feature that allows for us to upload, download, and delete files, all using the Iagon API. Now, before we jump into the actual review and the testing of the storage node, I do also want to give you guys a brief review of their MultiSender Dapp, as well as their feature to upload and remove files, all on the front end or the web version of their application. So in order to do that, we're going to head over to app.iagon.com. From here, we can connect our wallet, which supports Nami, Flint, Eternal, Giro, Typhon, Yoroi, and Lace. For now, I'm going to go ahead and use Nami, so I'm going to select it. I'm going to click on sign and then enter my spending password. Now, once I've done that, I'm then redirected to my personal storage. At the top right hand side, I've got a button here to log in or log out. I can also toggle between different themes or modes. And then we have a notification as well as a bookmark feature, which both of these buttons don't actually have any functionality tied to them just yet. Now, keep in mind, this is an MVP or a minimum viable product, which basically means that they don't have all of the features wrapped up just yet. Now, on the left-hand side, we've got the My Storage, which is where I'm currently at. Right below that, we got the MultiSender Dapp, which, as I mentioned, will allow for you to send a Cardano native token to multiple recipients in a single transaction, therefore reducing your transaction cost. And this is going to operate pretty simply. So you can either enter in all of the addresses you want to send your token to. And again, keep in mind, this is going to be in a CSV or comma delimited format, or you can actually upload a CSV file to the MultiSender Dapp itself. Once you do that, it'll basically allow for you to review the addresses that you want to send your token to. And then as part of the third step, you'll actually be able to send out those tokens to all the addresses included in your CSV file or that you provide here within this text option. So that's the MultiSender Dapp. Right below that, we have shared files, which will be where you can view any files that you shared with multiple people. And then we've got some settings right below, which will allow for us to change our password. And then we've also got access to the vault. One thing that I have noticed is that the storage, shared files, and vault do appear to show similar files. So what I'm going to do now is just quickly show you guys how this works. And then we're going to jump over into testing the storage node version 1, which is actually going to be the main focus here for today's video. So now that we have this going, I'm going to click on upload. And for now, we're going to upload two different files. So I'm going to upload a text file first. So I'm going to click on open. And as you can see here, I got a message at the top letting me know that my file has been successfully uploaded. Right below that, I can't see the file, so I can select it by checking off this checkbox. I can see exactly when it was uploaded. I can download it if I want to using this option. And then I could also remove the file here by clicking on this button. If I actually just click on the file itself, I do get a preview here. Now, given the fact that this is a text file, there isn't much to show within the preview. But let's go ahead and upload a second file here, which is going to be this whale image. So once I upload this, if I click on it, I should be able to actually see the, let's see here, let's try this again. There we go. I should now be able to see the actual graphic, and I can also see the type, the access, and the size. Now, if I jump over into shared files, again, I am presented with the same exact list of files, similarly with the vault. So as I mentioned, this is an MVP. I would assume that whatever is marked as private would not be available within my shared files and vice versa. But this is going to be the front-facing app for now, which, as I mentioned, allows for you to quickly upload and download files. And then we've also got the ability to access the MultiSender feature. Now, as I mentioned before, the main focus here for today's video will actually be the Iagon storage node testing and their API. So I'm going to leave the link to this down in the description below if you guys want to go ahead and get access to this. But I've done a little bit of the heavy lifting here in order to be able to give you guys a pretty smooth walkthrough of the API itself and all of its functionality. And again, if you're enjoying this video so far, I would really appreciate it if you guys could tap that like button. If it's your first time stopping by this channel and you want more content like this, consider subscribing. And if you guys have any questions surrounding Iagon or the MultiSender Dapp or the storage node, which we're going to be testing today, then please make sure to go ahead and leave a comment down below. So now that we've got all of the good stuff out of the way, what we can now do is from here quickly get access to the actual storage node itself. Now this is going to be a link which takes you to a Google Drive folder, which again I've already downloaded. But once you go ahead and get access to the file, it's going to be a pretty simple way to install it. So it's going to be an executable file. And once you open it up, you're going to be prompted with the screen to install it. And then once you go ahead and actually click the install and everything wraps up, you're going to be prompted to provide a little bit of information surrounding where you want to store data that is downloaded on your computer and exactly which port you want to be associated with the Iagon storage node. So that's going to be the first step there. Once you do that, the node itself will actually be able to identify all of the specs on the machine that is being used to run the node, which is what is shown here. So it'll show your processor, your capacity or your space, the type of hard drive that you have, the port selected on the prior screen, and then the path where all of the files that are downloaded and uploaded will then be stored. Very lastly, you do get this authorization key, which you want to copy and store somewhere in a safe location. Now, as I mentioned, I've already done all of this. And so once you wrap up all of that, you do have to register your node again, which I've already done. And then once you wrap that portion up, you can actually begin testing. And this is where I want to pick up. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and fire up my node here. And then we're going to go ahead and begin by pinging the node. Then we're going to test the node. And then we're going to upload a file to the node. And then after that, we're going to download that same file. And then we're going to go ahead and delete that file. And that's going to wrap it up here for today's demo. So I'm going to go ahead and open up my node. And as that's loading, I will leave the link to not only this particular page that I'm sharing with you guys, but if you guys have access to the API or if you want more documentation surrounding the API, they do have a Swagger documentation page, which talks about all the different features and steps, which again include the ability to upload, register your node, ping, test, download, and delete files. Another portion which I'm not going to be breaking down as a part of this video will be the sharding process, which is basically the process of splitting up files that are uploaded and distributing them amongst multiple nodes. So that is also available. And if you want to find out more about those API calls, you can go ahead and actually select the definition up here and select sharding. Again, this is going to be a separate portion, which I'm not going to be covering today, but it is a feature that is available. So I'm going to jump back over into interacting with nodes, and I'm actually going to go ahead and pull up the storage node, which as you guys can see right now, for myself is currently running. So I have my node ID, and I can also see that my node is currently functioning. Now I'm also going to open up a command prompt window. So let me go ahead and pop that open. And I'm going to go ahead and maximize that here for you guys. Now, before we continue any further, I will also open up a folder here where I'm storing all of my information for Iagon in order to show you guys all of the contents within that folder. So within this folder, we have the crypto whale image, which I showed you guys just a few minutes ago, which I uploaded on their front end website. I also have a test JSON file and then a test text file. So within the test text file, I'm going to go ahead and open it up. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and provide some simple text. This is a test of the Iagon node storage. So we're going to save that. And that's going to be included within my test.txt file. For now, I'm going to go ahead and actually delete this test.json, and it's going to be recreated when we go ahead and actually ping our node. So I'm going to delete this file. And so now we have two files. We have one image and a sample text file. So the first thing we're going to do now is go ahead and actually ping our node to make sure that it is up and running. So in order to do that, I'm going to go ahead and paste this code here. And keep in mind, this is all documented on the official page that I just shared with you guys. But for the sake of time, I'm going to go ahead and just copy and paste this in here for you. So this is going to be a curl command. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and paste the command. And we're going to go ahead and ping our node. So we can now see that the node ping is successful. If I were to close down my node and ping it again, I would actually get an unsuccessful ping, actually letting me know that my node is now down. So now that we've pinged our node, what we're going to do is go ahead and actually test it by running the same command for test. So I'm going to go ahead and paste that here. And it's going to look very similar, but notice that this has test here versus this one, which is ping. And we're going to go ahead and execute that. And as you guys can see, I now have a successful test. Now, if I open up the same folder that we were just looking at, which had my Iagon storage, if I refresh this, you'll notice that my JSON file is now back. So that was actually received as a part of the test. As soon as I test, it actually does a pull of this test.json. If I open this up, let's see if I can actually view this. I think I can open up with my Visual Studio Code, and I just want to show you guys the actual contents of this file. So here's my Visual Studio Code, and here is my test.json. So I'm looking at the test.json file, which is the same exact test.json, which is listed here. And as you guys can see, this is what's included within that file, just hello world. So pretty common or pretty standard there. So I'm going to go ahead and close that out. So we've now run the ping and the test. The next thing I want to do is go ahead and actually upload a file. So in order to do that, I'm going to go ahead and copy the upload file command. And I'm just going to paste that here. And so what this is basically doing is it's going to be uploading a file to this particular endpoint here. And it's going to be grabbing a file from my desktop, which is going to be test.txt. And it's going to be associating that with my node ID. So I'm going to go ahead and hit enter. And as you guys can now see, the upload again is now successful. So I've now uploaded a sample text file to my node. And so what I want to do now is go ahead and download it. So in order for me to do that, I'm going to go ahead and copy the code for that. I'm going to go ahead and paste it here. And this time, instead of a post request, we're going to be doing a get request from the download function or from the download feature of the API. So from here, I can go ahead and enter execute this. And as soon as I do that, you guys can now see that the actual contents, which is the text that I provided earlier, is now listed here. Now there is a minor curl issue with the inability to resolve a host, but I could see the actual contents here of the file. Alternatively, if I were to go ahead and actually just copy that link, so let me just copy the link. And if I open up my browser, so let me open this back up. And let me just open up a new tab. And I'm going to go ahead and actually paste that link here. You'll notice there at the very bottom that I've now downloaded the same exact file. So multiple ways to access or to get the same exact file. Now, if I jump back here, the very last thing I want to show you guys is how to delete a file. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that command. And I'm going to go ahead and paste it here. And I'm going to go ahead and execute that command. So I can now see from the node that the file test.txt has now been deleted. So let's say that I try to rerun the same download command. It should fail this time because the file no longer exists. But before I run that, if I also open up my actual storage folder and I refresh it here, you'll now notice that my test.txt file, has now been deleted. If I try to download that file, because it no longer exists, as you guys can see, it tells me that the download is unsuccessful. If I also try to download the file using the direct link, it will also fail. So that, I believe, is going to do it for this particular video, in which we've walked through the front-end web application including the MultiSender Dapp feature for Iagon, as well as their storage node version 1.0, which lets us go ahead and test as well as ping our node. And then we also walk through the process of downloading, uploading, and deleting a file. Again, if you guys want some of the information here, I will leave the link to it down in the description below. But it's a pretty simple process, and the team has mentioned that they will be releasing additional versions of this software here in the near future. So that is going to do it for this video. Again, if you guys found this to be helpful or insightful in any way, shape, or form, I would really appreciate it if you guys could tap that like button. If it's your first time stopping by the Dapp Central YouTube channel and you want more content like this, consider subscribing. And if you have any questions for me surrounding what we just walked through regarding Iagon, then go ahead and make sure to leave a comment down below. That said, and as always, I will see you guys in the next video.